All right. Hello, everybody. I think there's a few people already waiting here. Let me just adjust this a bit here. So, printed up Marv. I did the sketch. My pens. Did a big old sketch earlier. Oh, I got a big old sketch earlier. Didn't realize I had my YouTube sitting ready to go live. I just wanted to get the URL. Yeah, so my friend Christian DiBari posted a gorgeous Marv drawing a couple days ago, and I just went. I think the only Sin City art I ever did was during my food bank project, and I drew Nancy, which was pretty fun. I kind of aped Frank's style. I'm not going to do that for this. I just want to draw Marv as best I can in my style. And it's Sin City, so it's got to be rain. So it's going to be rain special effects running all over this after I establish that I'm happy with the lighting and the features and everything. I have an idea like where I want the lighting. You can see like shadows under the eyes here. Cigarette's probably a little big, but yeah, it's a cartoony world. And I figure so the light's going to be coming down, so there's going to be like water bounce off the top surfaces here. And if the light's coming there, the water bounce is probably going to be a lot of white paint splatter and maybe some stuff drawn in. My tools on hand, I have Uni Pin Fine Line Brush Marker. A Rotring Tiki Graphic 01 marker. It's a liquid ink marker, so it's a felt tip marker, but the ink inside is liquid, which means it flows a lot better as opposed to like being stored in a big felt container. And my go-to line pens, they're dead lines, but I like the line quality that comes out. They're liquid ink ballpoint pens. These are Oto graphic liners. I get them from Cult Pens in the UK. I'm not quite sure where you would get them in Canada directly or in the US. I would assume Jet Pens would be the good place to go. I got 005, 03, 01, extra 03, because I expect there's going to be a lot of like with the rain lines. I'm going to be going through a lot heavy of that. I have one of these Pentel color brushes, but I emptied out the Pentel black ink because it's tacky and takes forever to dry. And I refilled it with, where is it? Here we go. Carbon fountain pen ink. It's the darkest, more or less waterproof fountain pen ink I can find. I'm probably gonna have to order some more soon because I'm running low. And it gives me a nice, here, I'll just demonstrate it. So it gives me a nice kind of like very dry brushy stroke. So I can do strokes, catch the texture of the paper in there, and then do stuff with that. So I'll be using that. I'll also be using, as needed, some of the other tools that are floating around in my studio. I got myself a Sable brush pen from Japan. It's a really good one. It's really high quality. I use the same carbon ink in it as I do in the other Pentel. I got an array of paint markers, both in white and black. Sharpie has a nice one. First time I saw this used, Dan Panosian was using it. Well, some things making noises. Dan Panosian was using it during one of those great drink and draw episodes, and I went and ordered some from Blick in the States. And then suddenly they started being carried up here. I'm also a big fan of the Posca paint markers. I get these in white and black. So a lot of my white corrections will be white paint Poscas, or my black areas will be this super wonderfully matte black. I don't want to put any on there right now. Super matte black. It makes scanning a lot easier. So I'll be using that. Since I already did all the drawing, I won't be using any pencil eraser, but my go-to pencil is a 07 Sumo Grip pencil. I like the thicker lead, doesn't break as much because I'm heavy-handed. I like the grip, it makes it easier on my fingers. So I'm very happy with these. I last time I got some, I went and got like I think 5 of them just because the previous one I had left broke. And I was like, oh, I can't be without my favorite pencil. What else? Oh yeah, this is the white Posca. I use this. You can see it has a real nice fine tip. So when the fiber tip dries out, if there's paint in there, it'll still come out blobbing out. But if that fiber tip dries out, it doesn't write anymore. It needs to be able to absorb some of that paint to spread it out properly. Any other? Well, I got usual range of tools. I got tons of brushes, tons of ink, tons of white paint, lots of um, low tack painter's tape to mask off stuff, which I'll probably do before I finish. Any sort of special effects. Yeah, so that's all the stuff I have. Oh, I see some notes here. Hey, Anzan, Sylv, hey, Stacy, hi. And I'm really happy people are showing up. This is great. This is what I'm hoping for. More people to show up and hang out, chill, ask questions, shoot the shit, all that stuff. All right, so I think that's all the preamble I need for this. I'm not going to play any music tonight because I'm a little worried that the sound problems I had last week might have been because there was too much sound coming at the mic in my camera. And if my sound quality goes bad at all, please say something. I picked up a lavalier mic, which is one of those little lapel pin mics, to improve the sound quality. So yeah, so here we go. I am going to start inking Marv from Sin City. Now, in my description for this video, I talk about after my friend Christian drew Marv. He did a beautiful drawing. If you know Christian DiBari, you know the piece I'm talking about. If you don't, look up Christian DiBari, DiBari. Amazing artist, does a lot of horror work. Kind of jealous of some of the stuff he does. Great stuff. But he drew Marv. I think it was a commission, and it was just great. And it just kind of made me think, my God, I really, really liked those first issues of Sin City, especially the stuff that was serialized in Dark Horse Presents. That stuff was just so killer. I mean, it was just great stuff all around. And it got a little overdone. It drank its own Kool-Aid a little much after a certain point. But yeah, so I ended up rereading the very first trade, and it held up great. I ended up rewatching the movie. It didn't hold up as well. It's the tech was amazing at the time, and I think I was impressed more with the tech than anything else is going on in there. It's so they came up with new bits for the movie. If you haven't seen the movie, you know, I'm going to spoil it. Sorry, I'm not going to shut up about it in case you haven't seen it. But it adapts the first Sin City yarn, Marv and Goldie, and her sister and all the girls in Old Town. And that's great. And Mickey Rourke is just brilliant as Marv, with all the prosthetics going on him and everything. But I gotta say the big weak link is a combination that they didn't hire a screenwriter to fix the writing. It looks like they just used the comic book itself as the screenplay, and the dialogue is so terrible, and the pace of the movie is so awful because so many cuts are delayed because you have an actor narrating a thought balloon that goes on forever. And it looked great in the comic book. I mean, it was like line for line stuff. And having just reread it, it was like right there when I was watching the movie. It was line for line stuff. And it was just so overwritten and so purple and so turgid. I guess turgid would be a good word to use. It just made everything really, really interminably long, and every scene it was the essence of film is essence of good storytelling, essentially brevity. In many ways, brevity is the soul of wit too, but there was nothing brief. Everything, every scene went on a few seconds too long. Every bit of dialogue went on like 1 or 2 sentences too long. It was just, oh my God. And then you get Clive Owen, who's an actor I like. I've liked him. Children of Men is one of my favorite movies. And he's really excellent in that. But he is so horribly miscast as Dwight in this movie. And his narration is, if you've seen the Blade Runner edit, the original theatrical release of Blade Runner, where Harrison Ford is doing voiceover work to make it sound more hard boiled, and he sounds bored to tears. And the story is Harrison didn't want to do the voiceover, so he tried to kill it by doing a bad job. And and Clive outdoes him. Yeah, his voiceover sounds like he's literally about to fall asleep. There's nothing in that voiceover that is redeemable at all. It is quite possibly some of the worst voiceover work I've ever seen in a movie. But Rosario's awesome in it. I got a crush on her, so maybe I'm biased. Mickey Rourke is great in it. Rutger Hauer in his brief cameos as one of the big bad guys is excellent. Powers Booth is excellent. Michael Madsen is wasted in his role. He would have been better in the Bruce Willis role than Bruce Willis was. The Bruce Willis story is not one of my favorites that they adapted there. Big Fat Kill has moments, but again, it was kind of wrecked by Clive Owen being cast as Dwight. I expect most of you did not expect film critique in tonight's session. But yeah, it's a weird movie. And then I made the mistake years later, so many years later, I watched the sequel, and I hadn't rewatched the original in a long time. And a little public service: do not ever watch Sin City 2. It is a waste of so many incredibly talented people. And oh my God, it's just abysmally bad. Yeah. Almost feel I have to, talk about a good movie to make up for talking this much about how bad Sin City. You know what? Sin City wasn't bad. It was disappointing. It doesn't hold up. I think that's the more fair thing. It doesn't hold up to how well I regarded it at the time. It has some great bits. I really love, the killing machine Hobbit that shows up, Kevin, and there's a lot of great. I love the opening bit, the little opening bit where, what's his name kills his target because he's a hitman, right in the bat, but it's set up like some sort of romance. That stuff works for me. So there's great film noir stuff in there. A friend of mine, I actually commented about watching this on Facebook and how disappointing it was, and he says it was really interesting. It's like film noir was pretty new to comics, which made Sin City exciting, but film noir is like old and done in film. They've been doing film noir since before I was born. So it's like trying to reinvent film noir based on the weird comic book was kind of a mistake. They should have. I really feel they should have gotten like a really tight screenplay adapting the comics as faithfully as possible, but also just fix that dialogue, man. And tighter editing. Maybe I know Miller was involved in the shooting of it, so he gets co-director credit. And there's one scene that holds up really well. It's Clive Owen with Benicio del Toro in a car after, and they're talking. You know, it was directed by Quentin Tarantino, and that works. That actually has a certain amount of energy and camera movement that's not happening in the rest of the movie. And it's is that starting to look like Marv there a bit? I think so. Hopefully I can pull this off. And that held up. That held up well. I was actually seeing the big stark change. I was, oh, you're right. Tarantino directed this. So apparently he got paid $1 to direct that bit. I'm just using the 005 here to get as much of the fine line work in before I go in and like really start, you know, attacking it with darker line work. I also want to draw the bandages with the lightest marker or lightest pen touch I have. Yeah, I'm going to be giving Marv some additional facial damage, even though he's got the bandages on already. So he's going to have like a bleeding nose and busted lip. Also figured Marv had kind of fucked up teeth. I mean, yeah, sure, he's tough as can be, but if he's always fighting, you know, he's going to have messed up teeth. Just the way it is, man. Just the way it is. Oh. All right. Well, just a Syl's message about going to bed. So you have sweet dreams there, pal, and talk to you soon. If anyone knows, I've been doing a lot of covers and some other work for Syl's Kickstarter Death Tally, and she just released the latest cover online today. Delivered the covers, the colors last week or this week, whatever, and so that just went live, and I think that means that her Kickstarter for Death Tally issue 4 should be launching shortly. So if you've been following Death Tally or you haven't heard of it yet, it's a fun little fantasy. How did she describe it? I think it has that kind of. It's basically a young woman ends up accidentally killing the Grim Reaper, and as a result, ends up having to take over the Grim Reaper's job. And hilarity ensues. There we go. You can't have like too white of teeth. I want the eyes to pop, but there's still going to be some like shadow coming here. So I want it to. I want the idea that there's like real shadows and darkness happening here. Not going to go for the Miller style for this. So many people have done it, and some people do it well, some people don't. I already did it with my Nancy piece from ages ago, and I'm not big on stealing other people's styles. So I'd much rather, when I draw Hellboy, I try and be aware of like how Mike Mignola draws Hellboy, but then I draw him the way I draw him. And I think that should be my approach if I'm drawing like a Frank Miller character. It's like Frank Miller designs a character and he draws him a certain way because that's the way he draws. My putting on his clothes to draw his characters feels a little bit like theft to me. So I'd rather avoid that if I can. Yeah, cigarette probably casting a bit of a shadow there too. So let me darken that there. How's that working for you guys? It looks kind of scary and ugly the way Marv is supposed to. I'm getting a lot more mileage of the 005. There we go. It's a James Bond reference. Than I thought it would tonight. It just feels like building these tones with the finer lines is helping in a way I wasn't fully anticipating. Oh yeah, and that stupid chiseled jaw. I was really, really, really excited. It's like just how they did that kind of like block chin on Mickey Rourke there. That was pretty awesome to me. It's a damn fine coat you got there, man. As I haven't drawn any of the coat yet. That's a favorite line from the movie. It's a nice coat you got there. Vaguely cauliflower ears. I always figured, Marv would definitely have at least one like super cauliflower ear, but I know why a lot of cartoonists will stay away from that type of stuff because it comes across as a little goofy looking, I think, it sometimes. Yeah, let me put one more bandage on here. So let's do the one last bandage. Yeah, it looks pretty messed up in his face. All right, let's jump up to another line weight. I gotta say, I think if I was going to do a Sin City remake right now, I'd probably cast Dave Bautista as Marv. He might turn it down because he's probably sick and tired of playing like thuggish guys. But and he's actually a lot more talented than that. But I think he would, in a similar way to Mickey Rourke, he'd bring that level of intelligence and power to a character that people weren't expecting. Let's get these core shadows nailed down. Well, he's ugly, that's for sure. Do, do, do. Let's get that 0.5 out again. Here we go. I think that's going to be. All right, that cigarette seems a little more in place now. He's actually wearing a tank top. This is pretty high. This is almost like a t-shirt collar here. Should I drop it? Coming down around here then. Here we go. Yeah, let's draw this here. I started drawing it there, but I can cover that up with some ink and effects. There we go. All right. just want to create, I'm not necessarily drawing anatomy here and just creating different planar directions in here to create a little bit of visual chaos that just makes it feel gritty, grimy, maybe a little chaotic. This is me using the 0.1. Let me jump at this with the 3. You'll see a significant increase in the darkness here. It makes sense because his jaw's coming down and casting shadows. And the coat's casting shadows as well. There we go. I'm just rendering and get a sense of like some sort of form happening across this jacket. I'm going to go back in with lighter lines in a bit. Feels weird to be drawing some lines I know I'm going to be hitting with lots of white paint after. But I find that's just generally just how I work, man. I too eagerly, too often do a lot of rendering and then go back in and say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to cover that up. This to be, that's going to be dark. As dark as it's going to get on a white t-shirt, and I'm going to do the line for the coat here. Someone asked me how I best describe my approach to inking a little while ago, and I think it's inevitably connected to my early painting instruction, which is also in many ways my early drawing instruction, where you're largely fixated on what your darkest darks and your lightest lights are. And so a lot of times while I'm using line's great for describing form and contour, but lots of lines will allow you to establish values. So where a lot of artists will just use, basically they'll leave everything up to the colors to determine values and warm cools and all that stuff. I like to establish my darkest darks and my lightest lights in the pen and ink and let the color support it. Um, and a good friend of mine told me that that probably means that I'm not leaving colorists much to do, which for, probably for the best, and I'm coloring myself more often than not. Um, Colors work too damn hard to be taken for granted that way, I guess. So maybe I'm a bad match for established color artists in the industry. I think that's working out all right. Oh, hey, thanks, Brendan. Thanks for checking in. Lots of scribbling around to get these darker shapes popped in. So part of me almost wants to tape off the edges now because I know I'm going to have to do it. And if they're taped off, then I can do all this line work around the edges and not worry about going outside too much. But, you know, it is what it is. I haven't done it yet. Okay, so the light is going to be coming down from there. So a lot of Marv's hair is going to be that. Lights there, rain's going this way. I'm rendering a lot on diagonal going the opposite way. Oh, I also wanted to. He wears a crucifix under his shirt, if I remember correctly. So I sketched one out. Trying to think how to best get that in as subtle as possible. That might be a white paint effect at the end. You know what? I am going to tape this off. Little trick I learned is some Bristol papers, they tear a bit if you mask, and then the tape sticks too much to the surface. So what I do, and it works most of the time, is I take the tape, sticky side, put it against, like I'm wearing sweats tonight in the studio. It picks up a little bit of like the lint and dust and everything, hair, even probably from my beard, on it, and it just makes it a little less tacky. It takes some of the tack out, so it's less likely to rip up your paper. And the other thing I find is when I press it down, I don't press down the whole width of the tape. I try and just do the edge that's adjacent to what I'm concerned about. So I'll just do like halfway here, and I'll leave this, I could literally like just fold that in half. Makes it easier to take off. But I find it makes working with painter's tape a lot more efficient. May have lifted all the available lint off of the one leg already. And I cheat. I have an extra wide roll for the bottom width of the bottom of the page. Oop, did I point the camera? How are we doing time-wise? 7:42. All right, not too bad. Feel I'm a little over halfway done. Everything else is going to be more or less special effects. What is this? 0.1. Yeah, let me get this. Okay, now I want to. I could use my rubber stamps a bit. Get a sense of a gradation going on here. Although I might do rubber stamps in the background, but let me get this going here a little bit. I'm using the one again, jump back from the 03. Any questions? Anything you want me to talk about? I'm working on Conan right now, along with a whole bunch of other stuff. I got more layouts to do. The whole team at Second Coming is almost done. The last issue of the current arc, so I got the first 2 scripts for the next issue ready to be worked on in terms of layouts. That's going to be fun. Sorry, I think I felt the tape was lifting, so there might be some squiggly lines under the bottom here. I have a mirror to that side of my drawing table, so I use it as a trick. If I'm running, it's about 1.5 meters away from me, so I'll turn up a piece, look at it. It's immediately reduced, so I'm looking at it essentially 3 meters away, so I see how it pulls together pretty quickly that way. It's a good little trick I picked up when I was an art student. Let's get a little bit more fade in here. So yeah, so I'm rendering for value. Again, this is not going to be a colored piece, so it's like I'm leaning fully into the fact it's black and white. If I got light hitting here, of course, when I do this, I have no idea where the hell I'm going to sign the damn thing after it's done. I really want that kind of high contrast washed out light, like almost like he's walking under like a tiny like spotlight, street light, some type of thing here. And it's just giving him like this heavy shadow here. So I'm going to be doing things like want to make those band-aids pop a bit. So I'm going to be rendering on top of the 005. Just push the darkness a bit more. I also want those eyes to pop out like mad. So this is all going to be in shadow. To get a nice, almost like dry brush effect from the line, you lean the pen as far away from the surface. So it's like you want the ink to flow straight, get almost like a vertical, pretty much in like I don't know, 85 to 115-degree angle. But if you want kind of like a dry brush effect, you use the angle of the ball, so it's not fully engaged with the paper surface, so it doesn't really pull out as much ink. And you can get a finer line effect and all sorts of cool stuff like that. Now, just because I haven't used my stamps or splatter or anything like that doesn't mean I'm not going to. I very much, very likely will jump in to do extra textural effects as I get closer to the point of using white paint. Here I am just doing some of that stitching that happens with like leather coats. Although some of the coats in that movie looked like they were silk. I guess they were doing that for to make it look like more dramatic movement. Yeah, so if it's the light's coming from there, it's going to be like an extra heavy shadow through there as his head comes in there. So I'm going to go in here. I don't mind essentially burying constructive drawing elements in the rendering. The fact that they'll still be somewhat visible um, is fine. It actually sometimes, like, I'll spend hours drawing a hand and it'll be right in the pencils, but then when I ink it, it'll be like 3 brushstrokes and that's all I leave of the hand. Or I render it and the hand's almost completely lost in shadows or textures or something like that. If I was, I guess, in full Gil Kane mode, I wouldn't do that. I just literally, the moment I don't have to draw something particularly accurately, I'd slough it off because time's money, which is something I believe in to a certain degree. Time is money, but you also have to understand that quality is priceless. But turn it on its head. Do a little bit of shadow welding here. Let what's happening in the neck here go into the coat color here. So let that shadow grow a bit, allow his jaw to pop and make that cigarette pop a bit more too. Might go over this with a 3 as well. So it's a very dark coat. So I could probably do some dry brush on top of that. Yeah, I might do that. Just punch it a bit more. Drop the value down. Let that cigarette pop out more. To think I'm obfuscating so many details in this right now. Imagine what's going to happen when I start hitting it with some like white lines and some paint splatter and stuff like that. Hey, happy you like Second Coming, and I've done a cover. I gotta send it to my flatter to color so I can turn that in. And Jim Zub wrote a story for me for the first issue, I believe it's first issue of Savage Sword. Savage Sword of Conan's coming back, and I'm in it, baby. Super excited about that. Jim wrote a baller story, and the best part about it is Jim's local to me. So I got to sit down at Jim's place and lay it out. We talked through, we made some changes, and we turned it into a real baller of a story. It's a great little 40 page ish. I can't remember the exact page count. That's terrible. I should remember the page count. A 40-ish page. So it might run in 2 parts in Savage Sword because it's a big story. But the idea is that we're doing stories that could theoretically stand alone as European albums at the end of everything. All right, so I don't want the white shirt to be white, because again, I want all this to pop. But yeah, so Savage Sword, and then after that, I am supposed to Probably shouldn't announce it. I'm not going to announce it, but I have a verbal agreement to write and draw a mini series at a publisher, a science fiction horror project, which would be really fun. God, he's ugly. I'm going to put a little shadow underneath that bandage. Make him a little more three-dimensional. I think that works. Okay, I'm using a +1. I want this shirt to read as a gray, not white. I also want to figure out. I might do that with white paint. Let's do this. Let's build up a nice gradated tone in the shirt, going right up into the shadow under his neck. And to get darker as it goes into the crook of the coat. As it overlaps there. I figure you have some blood spots and everything on this shirt too. Go the other way here for this part because it's gonna be a little concavity in there. Okay, so if the cross is pressing on the shirt, it will actually create a plane that's pushing a little bit away from the direction of the light. I'm thinking out loud, talking out loud here. All I'm thinking. Would go back in and do the dots that way. All right, I think that's most of Marv here. Now I gotta. I want to dry this out a bit. The one downside of this is that once it gets, can you see all that wet paint on there? Like super glossy. I have to take a paper towel and take off some of the excess because I'm going to do some dry brush effects with this Sharpie paint marker because they can do that. I love it. So fold this up a few times so it doesn't, completely cover my fingers, which, is not a great thing. little bit of schmutz on Marv's coat here, as nice as it is. He's always fighting. It has a little texture too. It has that paper towel texture. All right, dry that off. Now I want to imply the rain's stroking in a certain direction. So I'm going to pull part of me thinks I probably should do some Post-its so I don't overdo anything. There's going to be white paint and everything here at the top, so I'm going to take a bunch of little Post-its and mark off some areas I don't want. So I'm going to overprotect areas because I'm going to go back in and make them look rough and all that stuff. Yeah, go up to here. So you see, there's the line. See the line there? I'm going about, I don't know, half centimeter over it. Not so worried about the side plane of his head, but still better not to obfuscate that and have to redraw it all. It's going to look horrible when I pull these off. So hopefully I can fix it after to everyone's satisfaction. And you know what, just to make sure nothing goes flying, I'm going to take a little piece of tape. There we go. All right, so that's my super impromptu mask. And where do I stick the Sharpie? There's a Sharpie. So I can just dry stroke right down to there. See, you see it already has that rain stroke thing going in it. And since I don't want that going up the top too much, I'm going to basically just use the corner, like you see the little narrower side of that? So I'm using the flat, shallower part of it at the top to give me some more dark and fill in some of the bigger gaps that happen at the top of the image area because of the tape. I don't want it completely gone solid black because I'm going to be painting back into it, but that'll help a lot. And very important, find the cap, put in the cap, put it over there. All right. So I have the angle of my rain pretty heavily established. I do want that to dry a bit. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 3, which is my thickest mark at this point, and where the lines are really dark, like where you see this, nice sharp thick clump of dark right here, pencil is. I'm going to bring that down closer to the jacket. All right, so now I do the thing that always freaks people out when I do characters in the rain. Actually, I forgot to do this. There you go. So I have an angle moving across this, and it's not permanent, but now I start throwing lines right across the whole drawing. And they don't have to be super straight. In fact, they shouldn't be because rain doesn't come down super straight. but this allows me to set up the rain effects a lot better. Another way to do it is to literally render every shadow, every surface along the lines of the rain, as if it's acting as a screen on its own. You notice I'm drawing lines on top of this because I want that consistency of lines moving over top of the gray areas, the coarser areas of the dry brush from the Sharpie marker. So already just that, it's horrendously rainy, right? So now, just went flying a little bit of tape. I'm going to start with this acrylic paint marker I picked up off of Amazon, the box of 12. It's thicker than the. I want that. There we go. I'm going to start doing droplets. It's hitting the surfaces and it's making the stuff underneath disappear because a little bit's of lighter catching it. I'm actually thinking that cigarette might be out. He's running around in the rain in Basin City with a cigarette in his mouth in the torrential downpour. I think he's just chewing on it because otherwise he has to hit someone. So it's like, there's part of me, I might, I could just put like a little bit of ember in there. I could put some, if I go crazy with the splatter, I'm probably going to put a little extra splatter there where the cigarette is. There. Maybe a few more here. All right, I did a chain here, so it's going to be chain under his neck. was a gag for a bit. Every convention I seem to have been asked for a Batman in the rain because I drew so many of them for a while. It just seemed to be like the thing I was always getting asked to draw. It was fun. Rain effects are fun. But magic. Pentel correction pens. I just don't get a defective one. Sometimes you get one that's like super full of like this incredibly liquid white paint, and it just doesn't cover very well. But you get a good one, and you get this built-in dotted line that happens when you go super fast. It's just the best. It's just the best. No, 0.3, give me a 0.1 here. Yeah, a little bit of white paint I think is called for. So what I do is I put my white gouache in this Riddler mug from the age-old George Clooney Batman, which is not the new George Clooney Batman. I always have some water in my studio. I throw some in. I run around with a brush on it. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll take my toothbrush I'm going to be splattering with, and I just rub it around the inside, picking up as much of that paint as possible. And a lot of times I'll put on a latex glove because I have something else to immediately start inking right after. Well, I'm probably going to take a dinner break after this. And see how thick this is. That's pretty good. All right, okay, cool. So a little bit of splatter. Yes. A little bit more blobby big splatter coming in here. Here we go. And do I want to try and get just a little bit of misting from that cigarette? It's going, it's not out yet. It's going out. A Well, there we go. There's Marv. And that's 8:15. So like an hour and 15 minutes. That's pretty good for someone who's trying to keep these to under 2 hours. I still got, I got to pull the tape off. Think I need to do a little bit more white paint up here in this hairline. And I'm going to use a Pentel for that because I want this to disappear a bit more. Putting bigger paint blobs everywhere. Yeah, rain and water. It takes a little bit of practice. Luckily, I've been practicing for a long time. This is the last one to go on. Oh yeah, there we go. I didn't push down tight enough there. All right. So this one isn't a commission. This is just because I wanted to draw Marv. Up until this, I was actually going to do some of my work online tonight and maybe talk about some perspective shortcuts. So unless a commission comes in, that's what I'll do next week. But yeah, so if you like this Marv and you want to add this Marv to your collection, I decided when this one sells, I'm gonna. It's been a while since I've done anything for the food bank. I think it's been like a couple months. So anyone who buys this, just reach out to me via any of the social media that you know me on, and we can talk. And so whatever I get for selling this is going to go to my local food bank because I think that's important, man. Now, where the hell do I sign this? That's the problem when I don't plan out where I'm going to sign a piece at the start. I could what sometimes I cheat. I have this acid-free mailing label paper, and I can sign that and stick it on top, and it looks like it's on purpose. So I might do that. Let me see here. Do I have some on hand right now? Here we go. Here it is. So I can sign it, cut it out, stick it on, and that might be the spot. That would pop out a lot. Everything's already leaning over here, so I think I'll do it over here. So let me sign it. That's a 3. I want a 1. I do my 1s. I'll put them all over here. That's a 5. That's a 3 as well. Oh my gosh, dang. Oh, here's a 1. All right, here we go. So yeah, so the trick is, rough. I don't want to sign too big, so I want like all right, so you can see there, very tiny, my signature. Put the cap back in the marker because, not capping your markers, not a good thing. Pull out a pair of scissors. Are you neurotic with your scissors? I have a pair of scissors for in the kitchen for like cooking stuff. I have another pair of scissors in my kitchen for just utility stuff. Like if I have to just cut something impromptu there. I just lost my finger. Here we go. And then I have my studio scissors. I have 2 pairs of studio scissors. One still in the package, and then these, which are, I don't know if they're a good brand or not, but they're just exclusively for my studio. So they're always sharp because they don't get used that much. And cut a little bit more off the top here. All right, so it's really, really tiny, and you can see how roughly cut it is. And since I do weird shit to the edge, I make it look like a beat up little old note. I think artists used to do that in the 90s. And I kind of really got a kick out of that. So I still do it. I'm old. Yeah. So what do you think there? I think that's a pretty good spot. There we go. Put it down really hard, and then I pull out one of my pens. Then I outline it, but I actually outline it on the paper here. And then I beat it up a bit more. I put like dots and there you go. Marv is done. No, damn it. Does it need stamps? Especially now that I put the signature on it. Yeah, I don't think this one needs stamps. I think I pulled this one off. Who knows? I might want to draw this again next week, and then I'll do stamps with Marv next week. Anyway, when I was drawing them in pencil, when I was doing the pencil study here, I kept on that line. That's a damn fine coat. Kept going through my head, so it's like I kind of drew him smiling, saying that's a damn fine coat. And if I was more inclined, I probably should have did a word balloon and have him saying that. But I was not inclined to do so. All right. So at this point, we broke 90 followers or subscribers, I think is a better term for my channel, which is flattering as can be. I'm super excited about that. But if you're watching and you're not subscribing, please do. There's a weird thing where it's like if I get 1,000 subscribers, I think is a number, and a gabillion views, apparently YouTube will start sending me pennies, which will be good for oh, you know what? While I'm talking, I'm going to do a little white paint here. Break up some of the lines here with that rain coming through his face. Yeah, so there's that whole monetized aspect of YouTube, which would be nice. A little bit of money here and there for art supplies, food banks, because that's a big charity for mine. That's pretty much what my Patreon goes for. You can subscribe to my Patreon too. It's just $1 a month, and you get to see all the behind the scenes stuff and stuff that I don't post anywhere else. So that's a thing you guys could do. But yeah, I'd love it if you subscribed, liked, all those things here. I'm on Blue Sky Social. I'm still on Twitter, waiting for it to explode. I'm on Instagram at Richard Pace. And I'm here on YouTube, and I'm doing everything I can to try and muddle through as an artist in this hopefully not AI apocalyptic world we're in. So yeah, next week, either it's a commission or I have stuff planned where I'll do some drawing tips and stuff and talk about maybe some other anatomy books and do some of the work that maybe ink a panel that I'm working on professionally. Otherwise, you guys have an amazing week and take care.